Hi everybody, and welcome to History 101. I'm excited to finally start this course. I'm sitting here with a very good cup of coffee. You can't smell it or taste it, so I hope you take my word for it. I hope you're sitting with a comparable good cup of something, whatever your poison is, and let's get started. So what I'm going to do every week is post a video at the beginning of the week, kind of talking about the main points I would like for you to think as you're doing the readings for the week. And I will also post a video at the end of the week emphasizing the main themes that I hope you picked up from the readings. And the readings that I've asked you to do for today, as I'm sure you noticed, are about Rome, ancient Rome. And the big question is why? I mean, this course is European history from the Middle Ages all the way to the Enlightenment. So roughly from the 6th century to the 18th century. So why read about Rome? Well, the answer is that there are two crucial things that we need to discuss before we can move to the Middle Ages proper. And that is, first of all, the rise of Christianity. And these are the readings for tomorrow, for Tuesday. You really cannot talk about medieval culture without understanding that it is first and foremost a Christian culture. The second really important thing to understand the Middle Ages is Rome, ancient Rome. Rome began as a small village that controlled vast areas eventually, controlled vast areas of the known world at the time. It controlled most of Europe. It controlled the Mediterranean and North Africa. But it's very important for us in this course, not because it controlled such a huge geographical location, but for two things. First of all, because people in the Middle Ages constantly referred to it as this epitome of culture. It was a constant source of reference for people in the Middle Ages. They kept comparing themselves to the culture that existed in Rome. And the second reason is that the traditions that Rome developed, and I'm talking specifically about the political and the legal traditions that Rome developed, became essential components of medieval civilization. Now, as I told you, Europe is not only a geographical location. Europe is also a culture. It has a cultural aspect to it. And that means that it is a set of principles, beliefs, customs, all kinds of notions about life and so forth. And I don't know if you noticed that, but the primary sources that I've asked you to read for today are all about women, or at least about how women were being used and abused. And this is in order to emphasize the cultural aspect that is Europe. The question is, what is European? Well, here's part of the answer to that. Part of the answer to that is, at the basis of European culture, there is a commodification and abuse of the female body and of women as a whole. One of the poems, for example, that I've asked you to read for today is by a Roman poet named, the poet name is Ovid. The poem's title is The Rape of Europa. And it's about, well, I actually won't tell you what it's about because you're going to read it in various versions. But what I want you to think is about the significance. What is the significance of the fact that a poem about the rape of a woman was so popular in European culture and in the European psyche? This myth of the rape of Europa goes all the way back to the 8th century before the Common Era. And it appears again and again and again and again in European literature and in European art all the way to the 17th century. So it goes from the 8th century before the Common Era, and it really covers all of that time period that we are going to discuss in this course. So what does it tell us about European culture if this myth is such an essential, such an important, such a foundational component? Now, when you're doing the readings for today. When you're reading the primary sources, I want you to do three things. First of all, I'd like for you to literally highlight everything that you think is important, significant, interesting, or maybe even confusing, stuff that you're not sure about. The second thing that I would like for you to do is to come up with the main points of each text. In other words, if you had to tell a different person what this text is about, what is the story here, what would you say in your own words are the main points here? And then the third thing that I'd like for you to do is to think about the significance of this primary source. What is that historical significance? Or in other words, why would I ask you to read it? What could it reveal to you? What kind of insight might it give you about the period, about the historical period that this primary source is from? And finally, if you have any questions, I would like for you to post them under the category Ungraded Questions for the Instructor that is on our course Moodle. And it's better if you do that in this way instead of emailing me personally, because in this way other students in the course can see your question as well. And believe me, if you have that question, some other student would say, that's a very good question. I actually don't know the answer to that. So I told you that one of the skills of the historian is to develop the ability to ask questions and to interrogate the primary sources, but it's also the ability to ask me questions and to interrogate me. So please use that forum to ask questions about stuff that you're not sure about, that you're not certain about, stuff that relates to our readings. Well, okay, fun reading. I hope you enjoy the material, and I will be in touch very, very soon.